Oh yeah.
Check it out.
So here we go with Draco Malfoy all grows up.
Is that no? It
Yes.
isn't. Is it?
And Voldemort was Hitler.
The pilot is the kid who played Draco Malfoy
Oh,
in all of the Harry Potter
right.
movies.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's great.
I don't know that.
You know,
And Jason Isaacs is in it too, and he's a veteran of Harry Potter as well.
Oh, yes.
Jason Isaacs is in this? No.
So I just wanted to mention before we get
No,
started.
not in this. He was in the other one. Sorry.
He's in Fury.
Yeah. Barely.
Yeah.
Wearing
He was Commander Exposition.
Yeah, he was wearing a Luftwaffe coat. They never mentioned that. Yeah.
Jim, sorry.
What were you saying, Jim?
Yeah.
The guy behind Scott there, who talks to what's his name and gets him.
Got his legs blown off?
Back and had his legs blown off.
Yeah.
He's got that little. If you see on his right side, he's got a little chevron. You can't see it because it's behind Scott's chair. But there it is. It means he was a member of the SS or the National Socialist German Workers' Party before Hitler came to power in 1933, which basically means he was hardcore. And by this point, he's so disillusioned.
Yeah. He was like
And the scene where he shoots himself, the first time you see it, it's amazing. It's like the end of Coup de Grace. If you remember, when they shoot the woman there on the train station, platform.
This movie completely.
This movie is it cost 16 million euros.
Yeah,
second most expensive movie made in the Netherlands.
This movie was like this wasn't even on my radar. I don't know how I missed this movie.
I've never heard of this film
because it's a Netflix film.
I watched it. I watched
God damn,
it when
it's good,
when
man.
it came out, and that's why I was so excited. If you remember, I was real excited when Jim picked this.
It's
I
terrific.
think this movie is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
Has some nice. That's nice points of view.
The woman does a great job. The actress,
she's so good.
Yes.
That young Dutch guy who joins the here and goes.
And the Dutch guy,
yeah, that was very.
There's a lot of good acting in this movie.
Yeah,
mind you,
and it's a really interesting story, and it shows you a side of the war that I knew nothing about.
Yeah, this is it is kind of forgotten, but it's what with the fuck up that Montgomery did with Operation Market Garden. Yeah,
which they did another movie about.
Yes.
Yeah. A bridge. It would be good with a bridge too far. Actually,
even the opening animation was great too, and it didn't feel out of place like the credits did in Fury.
I'm glad you brought that up because that is like the best map animation I've ever seen in a war movie.
They use the wrong Canadian flag, and it drives me fucking insane.
It
drives me insane.
Except for the wrong Canadian flag.
Right.
Excellent.
Well, I'm not an aficionado on Canadian culture, so I didn't notice
part
that.
of the British Empire back then, so it didn't have a.
So it had. They
had
had
Union Jack on a red field.
Red flag with a Union Jack.
What did they use? The maple leaf?
Yeah.
Which well, that's for modern day audiences. They're not going to recognize.
People can
the
figure
same thing
it
happened
out.
in the Untouchables. They brought a bunch of Canadian whiskey in and had the big maple leaf on it. And like, not quite.
Yeah, no, I think John's probably right. Had they used the original one, people might
Everybody
go,
would have been
what
like,
country
huh?
was that? What fucking country was doing that?
I thought what was interesting about this is what that this was a Dutch film, a Dutch-Belgian film.
Australia,
I thought that the performances in Dutch and whatever they're speaking in Belgium were pretty good, but the performances of English-speaking guys was a little off. Did you notice that?
Yeah,
Accents were a little rounded. They weren't.
Some of them weren't. Some of them weren't Brits.
Yeah, I don't think they were Brits. They were probably Dutch guys doing British accents and speaking English.
But on the other hand, the Dutch actors who spoke German in this were doing a really good job.
Well, that's the question. Were they? Did that come out pretty good?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
that guy who plays Colonel Berghoff, he's in like everything I've ever seen. In a couple of movies that we've seen here on Yelling About Movies. So he just, if you look him up, just look him up in IMDb.
Jim mentioned that this is kind of forgotten. This is super forgotten. Just for reference, the Battle of Wallachiurn Causeway, the Wikipedia entry for it is shorter than the Wikipedia entry for this film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this was a pivotal battle. Yeah. Like this was really important.
Yeah.
Like
they did
nobody
a very good
knows
job framing up why it was important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they sure do.
Like
that
can't
aerial
fly anybody
sequence.
if they can't get into the goddamn port.
Yeah.
Was it
first
Antwerp
thing that
or
really
Hook van
catches
Holland
your
in it?
attention is what Jared said.
Yes.
The
Yeah, that
spider thing
the
is
aerial
just
sequence was
marvelously
so
done.
Yeah, that's
beautiful,
great. It's great.
intense.
Because
The-
they're just flying along, and all of a sudden there's those little black puffs of smoke, and then the guy gets blown up there when the side of the plane gets hit.
And,
But I mean,
and the
just
plane
the-
is just riddled. It's like, how is it even
Yeah.
staying in the air at this
I
point?
didn't
Well,
check the
Well, it
wing
wasn't.
out, and the guy
Yeah.
looks out.
if you look out,
Or
like
they
the
end up in a
shots,
Yeah,
swamp.
the wing's not
Yeah.
good, man.
the shots of them looking out their, a windshield or whatever
Yeah.
is like, it's like Blade Runner. It's like, how can there's like a million things in the sky in front of it, and just like,
It's really
I don't even
complex
know
stuff.
how they're flying and not hitting each other. It's
Yeah,
fucking
yeah, they're
insane.
really, it's really tight.
He uses that plane in front of him. He like he pulls it over when it finally releases.
Yeah.
And he
There's like
crashed.
three planes.
And you think he's going to hit that other plane?
You think he's gonna hit that other
Well,
plane?
also,
Yeah.
well, they weren't gliders. They were actually pretty light, and so they probably
Yeah.
could like pull really hard in a stick and keep it in the air. That's what
Incredible.
they
Basically just
But that bit
wood.
where they had to pull that pin out to get the wire out of the thing, that was great. I just thought
That was a great scene. It was like, we got to get a little slack on this. You guys, when I tell you pull that lever as hard as you can, it was really exciting.
The
know.
thing that he got dressed down and taken basically out of the unit for doing. It's
Yeah.
like, no, you need to fucking do that.
You're gonna have to roll it.
Yeah.
And talk about the
Anyway.
acting.
Accurate though. Accurate.
Yeah.
The acting
Jared?
across the board is so good, particularly in so here we have another the men from the plane find a house, and they have a dinner, they get drunk, but there's a scene like the next day
They just fucking abandoned them.
of the two
Yeah,
soldiers.
well, the guys just leave, right?
Yeah, they just
Right.
fuck
So
off.
but then the two soldiers come in, and they've got one in the basement, and
Yes.
the pilot, is he's in the chair because he can't walk because of his leg and
Yeah.
shit.
Mhm.
That scene though, when the guy is holding a gun to him and they're saying, "Put the fucking gun down," and he's like, and he's at the thing. I mean, like, I was on the edge of my fucking seat, dude. Like
Yes.
that acting is so amazing, and they didn't do anything dumb American with it. I mean, he just shot the guy,
Yeah.
and then the guy just shot him, and it was
Yeah.
like, that's how that would go down.
Yeah.
Well, the dramaturgy, and
Right.
the way they set up the scenes and the action in them was
Yes.
really clear throughout the entire film. Your sense of geography in this film was solid.
It
You
really
knew
sells
You knew
everything.
where everything was. It's
Yeah.
it's like reading off a map.
There's
Yeah.
one
It
time.
helps
There's
if they show a map.
Yeah, it really helped a lot actually, and thank God
there's
they did.
one time that it didn't work for me, that didn't work for me, and that is the trench scene when the Dutch guy abandons the Germans.
Mhm.
I lost track of where they were a couple of times.
This is when they're in Estonia at the
Yes,
beginning of the movie. Yeah.
The Eastern Front, yeah.
I lost track of where they were a couple of times,
Mhm.
and it was just like, okay,
chaotic.
I need it's a little too chaotic. There's too many cuts.
Yeah.
There's too much camera
I
movement.
can see that. I can see that. Mhm.
And those were the first scenes to be shot.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because they had whatever the place was in Latvia.
Oh, they shot that in Latvia.
They shot it in Latvia.
Oh, okay. Good enough.
Almost all of and anything that's in a field basically was shot in Latvia because it would be they didn't want to pay to CGI all of the windmills out because there's all these windmills. And so Latvia had tax breaks. If you notice, there's a credit for the
Yes, there
Latvian
is.
tax
Yeah.
breaks. And so they went to Latvia, and they were also able to rent this field and build a dam and flood it. Like
Yeah.
They
that's
built
all-
that dam?
That's all
Yeah.
practical.
Wow.
Because the causeway is not as big as it should be. It was 40 meters wide.
Yeah.
And
That's
this thing
grueling,
was
man, when they have
about 10.
It's actually bigger. in
When
the
they
movie.
they do the assault on the causeway and they come
Yeah.
across, they just get fucking slaughtered, which you
Oh,
know
yeah.
is coming because it's clearly stated in the story that's what's going to happen.
There's only one way to get across that bridge.
Right.
You don't have a
There
choice.
are
That's the one.
There's
I mean,
huge
you gotta cross that thing.
Canadian,
Fuck you! I ain't going across that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Off, man. That's nuts.
Yeah, well, now you know how 3,800 Allied soldiers and
Yeah.
4,200 German soldiers died during this. Like it was just
it was brutal, man.
That's incredible.
Yeah. But, going back to the thing about Lithuania, it reminds me that most of Chernobyl was shot in Lithuania, not Latvia. Because they have actually identical nuclear power plant there than they have in Chernobyl.
Oh yeah.
Now, you can tell Lithuanians are just doing this to the Russians. They're just like, That's like, all right.
So I'll be the contrarian.
Sure.
Well, like it's somebody, Jim, mentioned Bridge Too Far, which I think I also watched in the last year, which is another Market Garden movie, which I think probably more than this, it's trying to tell like 19 stories, and it's like we're going to follow these guys.
But that was like that's a 70s thing too. That was like
only
lot.
three.
There's only 3 here.
There's 3 threads, and they start separate, and then they
all
coalesce.
Yeah.
And Dunkirk, also was telling over, and I think
Dunkirk's telling too many stories.
I struggled at times. Okay, where are we now? Who are we picking up with?
Yeah.
And then the other thing I just throw out there, and I think I asked a minute ago, like, well, who's the star of this movie? Is it the girl?
Yes.
Probably, yeah.
I think it's all 3 of them, to be honest.
I think it's more her though.
It's more her, but this is a thing that America struggles with too. And I'm not like advocating or against it, but having what, remember in film school they call it like a collective
protagonist.
Yeah, which Battleship Potemkin is one of those movies that does that.
We beat over the head by that one.
Lots of war movies try to have this collective protagonist, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Well,
this is one of those movies where it's like, well, we're going to try and have like 3. You're kind of more involved with one. But for me, I was never confused, and it totally all worked. I don't know. Because I think that there's a balance. There's a balance that this movie strikes where it gives me enough personal attention on each of them that I can follow it.
There's also slightly different color grading for each of the stories until it all comes together.
I didn't catch that.
There's some are grayer.
Yeah,
so this is much more saturated.
Yeah.
And when you start with the girl, it's a little warmer.
Although I'm going to go with Jared. What Jared said earlier is that this problem with these films is they all kind of get that Netflix filter on them. They kind of like they get dark and they kind of wash out a little bit, so they all kind of look more like a new film than anything else. You know what I mean?
They kind of do, but it's still impeccable. I mean, that's why, and we'll get to this too. But last night, All Quiet won cinematography. I mean, it won so many, but it won cinematography. And watching All Quiet, it's clear that you're dealing with something a little different, even though it is a modern, just was made, World War I movie. But you're like, this looks different. Like they thought about this. They said, I don't want this to look like every single other one that is being made right now.
Right.
It's not completely different, but it's like, it's enough to where you go, wow, this is like impressive. So
some of those shots in that movie look like Vermeer paintings to me.
Dude, like I'm telling you, like, yeah, it's so, and it also won like, I think the art direction or set, whatever. But yeah, anyway, not off topic. I mean, I think this movie looks gorgeous, but it just does look like all of those other movies that are like this.
It looks like contemporary color grading for sure. Those milky blacks.
It was 14 million euros, not 16. So I mean, it is ridiculously impressive for its budget. It's not even funny.
Yeah, true.
That's what you get when you get a whole bunch of tax credits.
I know, a lot of bang for your buck on this film. Also, I'm going to going what Jared said about the collective protagonist. This reminds me a lot of. There's a lot of World War II movies that are, have this kind of collective protagonist thing, like The Longest Day and Too Far. This is one of those ones where you're following a bunch of different threads. Yep. And Band of Brothers, if you want to go a series, this is kind of.
I think that A Bridge Too Far actually works with its multiple threads because. They're all actors. There's stars.
Yeah, there's stars. It's stars.
So you can keep them straight. You can keep it straight in your head, right?
Keep it straight.
Here's the Connery part.
We were just watching some of the Dirty Dozen the other night, and it was just like there's not a face in that movie that you don't know.
Oh my God! Don't get me
but you're exposing. You guys are all exposing your American idiocy right now because you need a fucking star with a face that that you can follow.
Hey, movie stars, man, movie stars.
Okay, but hold on. Jared. Several of the people in this movie are quite famous in Europe.
Yeah,
Like,
in Europe,
they
yeah.
are stars. We just
Well, that
don't
would
know
play
it.
differently for a European audience then.
Sorry,
Right,
Jerry.
right.
We
Also-
just all quiet. The guy at the center of that movie has a very distinct, like, I
That's
don't
true.
know.
A very
Very-
distinctive face.
Also,
Yeah.
rolling
Never
around
seen
to,
him
like,
before. It's his
going
first
around
fucking
to
movie. I remember him.
Yeah, Terrence Malick. The Thin Red Line is a multiple as
It is.
Right.
protagonist,
And that's a star, but everyone's a star in that movie as well.
Yes and no. I mean, some of them were
fucking
huge
narrative of that
stars
movie.
back then. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Stars when it was shot.
Like
were they?
watching someone else have a dream about World War II.
Yeah.
Who's the most famous
It's
person
poetic.
in Band of Brothers when that came out? It's Donnie Wahlberg, right?
No, the guy
I
from
know.
Office Space.
Ron Livingston.
Jim?
Ron Livingston.
Ron
Or,
Livingston.
I don't know.
Ah.
Donnie Wahlberg was in fucking New Kids on the Block. Like, I
No, the guy, the tall guy. The guy.
I did like this movie. I just found
the
it.
guy who played Winters was not very famous at the time.
Oh, you're right.
No, go ahead, Chris.
What, Chris?
Listen, I like this movie. I think it's really impressive. I found it occasionally disorienting, and the collective protagonist thing was challenging at times.
I can see that. I can
All
see
right.
that.
But
Fair
I
enough.
mean, on the whole, like, wow.
I don't
Yeah.
think I love this movie kind of as much as the rest of you guys do, even though I was really excited to watch it. This again has suffered a little bit as the second viewing. I found it a little languid in certain places, and
Mhm.
it
see
just you know, because I knew what was going to happen. You
The
know,
thing is,
like
first time out with me, I actually was very excited about it because it's like I haven't heard of this film, and this film is really well
Yeah.
done.
couldn't
know.
drag me. It couldn't drag me along on what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's the
way that
problem
it
with the
did-
second
Yeah,
the way
yeah.
that it
Well,
did the first time.
Yeah.
I think because not having it started out slow for me. Like I was like, oh, I'm not sure if I'm into this. It was one of those that then it started to just grab me and squeeze tighter. And by the end, I was just all in.
I'm back.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I actually
like,
took a break in the middle of this and came back, and I think that actually helped. I liked the second half better after taking a look.
You know,
Okay.
it just made me wonder what you just said, Jared, was it's like, and what we've just been talking about, the whole what's going to happen next. I wonder how Anthropoid would hold up on a second viewing,
I think I like
I
Anthropoid
think
better.
I would-
because I really have a high opinion of that film, but a lot of it was
Yeah.
based on the suspense of
Right.
holy shit,
true.
what's going to happen to these guys?
I don't know. The first time I watched it, I was like, "These guys are gonna fucking die." Let's see how bad it is. Like, you know what? You know how you know that? Because they fucking killed Reinhard Heydrich. They weren't
Yeah.
letting those guys get away.
No, they weren't.
Like,
Right.
that's-
Right.
If you know anything about what's the occupation of Czechoslovakia, that was going to be bad.
They were gonna burn
Mhm.
that fucking
Yeah.
country to the ground until they got those guys.
So this was the third time I've seen this movie.
Yeah.
And
Where'd you learn about it?
Where'd I learn about it? It was something Netflix suggested to me because all I watch is.
Well, there you
movies
go.
that-
That makes total sense. Okay.
foreign
The
work.
algorithm worked.
Yes.
It did.
Is your
It's like, hold on, Nazis.
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 We got hella Nazis.
Well, no, Netflix has
Jim-
secret categories, and I guarantee you one of them is fucking Nazis.
Jim's
Like-
algorithm. Jim's algorithm is so detail oriented around Nazis that at some point the FBI is going to knock on his door.
I'll bet you they
We've
have.
been looking at your Netflix queue,
They have-
sir.
Say what? We want you to
I-
join?
No, they probably break it down. By
Yeah.
we heard there was some Nazi sympathizers in this household.
No,
Yeah,
they
we need more recruits
Netflix
for
probably
the
breaks
FBI.
it. They probably break it down to cartoon Nazis, historic
Yes.
Nazis, non-Nazis, all the little
And foreign
flavors of
Nazis.
Nazis right down it.
Yeah, German-made Nazis.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Go ahead, Jim. You were saying.
Dutch Nazi.
I mean, to cut you off there. What were you?
No, it is interesting though that for a film that was made by the Dutch, that you actually have a Dutch guy who volunteers for an SS unit and
I
gets
know, right?
sent to Russia.
That wasn't unusual, was it?
No, there were at least 2 Dutch SS divisions.
Right.
It wasn't as
Wow.
prevalent as it was in some other countries.
There's a
yeah,
big- there's
France actually had more, I think.
Yeah, I was confused by it at first when they were calling him Dutch boy, and then I
Yeah.
kind of sort of slowly
what?
dawned on me
That he was Dutch.
that he was actually Dutch. Yes.
Yeah.
Was he in the SS? I wasn't paying attention. Was he in the here?
He's in the
What's that?
here.
Was he in the army or was he in the SS?
He's in the here. He's
He was
not
in the
an
here.
SS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I like the scene where you first meet the guy with no legs, and he's like, "Are there any Jews in your neighborhood?"
You know what? Weirdly enough, that was actually, I thought, the pivotal scene in the film, because this is where the Holocaust actually showed up. It's like, when the Jews went away, would they ever come back?
Yeah. He's like, I worked in one of those camps.
Exactly. It's like that was
that's like the only scene that references the Holocaust.
Yes, that was interesting. That brought
and it just hits you right in the face. It just runs up and slaps you in the face.
It grounds the film in a lot of ways. It tells you what you're up against. It's great.
Well, and it's the beginning of his disillusionment.
It's before he loses his legs.
Yeah, right.
I'm not the good guy, like.
What's that meme? Are we the baddies? Kind of.
Yeah.
Okay, good enough.
We have skulls on everything.
No one is the villain in their own story.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and that's the thing
until they
he realizes he's the villain in his own story, and that's what eventually makes him kill himself.
And that makes this story very interesting.
Yeah. Well,
and then the Dutch guy is like, "Fuck, I am the bad guys too." Like,
right.
Well, and there's also the doctor.
Oh, dude, the scene when he has to shoot the brother is brutal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Oh, I kept thinking, but see, that's why I love this movie too, because just like the standoff in the house, it goes down exactly how it would have went down. Just like when he shoots the brother, he just does it. He can't, like in an American film, he would have turned the gun next to him and shot the fucking soldier or some shit.
Told him to run away.
That doesn't happen in real life. In real life, he follows fucking orders and he shoots him.
Yeah.
And then he fucking goes and cries and throws up or whatever he has to do, but he just has to, you know what I mean?
There's probably some symbolism in Holland or Netherlands that actually we're kind of missing. It's like brother against brother kind of thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's right. Is it on top or is it hidden? It's probably on top.
It's on top. I mean, because we don't have that for World War II really in this country.
Except except for guys from Portland, Oregon.
Right.
There's so many beautiful moments. There's this beautiful, painful moment in this movie where the woman that was shot getting on the boat with the plans, they've brought her to the infirmary part, which is also sort of almost like a mess hall. But
I know what scene you're talking about.
That soldier is looking at her and she's alive.
Yeah.
She's still alive.
And then she dies.
And then he looks at we cut back to him and we cut back to her and she's dead within seconds.
And she's across the room from him.
Yeah.
He's the only one who's really with her when she dies.
Right.
That was devastating.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good
Beautiful
stuff, man.
Beautiful.
Pretty good film, man. Pretty good film.
Yeah.
All right. We can go to cards in this, I think, at this point.
A classy production.
Just a tiny little bit off.
It's fascinating. The Dutch perspective in World War II. I haven't heard it before. That's interesting.